Yes, sir. We are back. We are laying down the law, and I know exactly who this lady is. She is the first female of football. She is all of that and more. Welcome back to Laying Down the Law 2015, our very own. Oh, my goodness. Julie Buehler, how are you, young lady?
Happy New Year, fellas. Happy New Year. How are you? I'm fantastic.
Wonderful. Doing great.
We just, we can't get enough of 2015. And we certainly want to say Happy New Year. Our co-host, the All-Pro NFL quarterback, is under the weather. The weather has gotten him, so he apologizes. He certainly wanted to say Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed because he was giving out relationship advice last week or a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
And I do not get a benefit from that. So that's a little disappointing.
Well, here's the thing. He's talking now that he may actually come out to Arizona.
Okay, for the Super Bowl. Fantastic.
So we may be able to get a full collaboration. I think his relationship advice to you is spend more time around me.
well, that's
Funny
not
how that would work out.
That's
and how much did you pay him to potentially say that? How much did that cost?
It's just benefits of having your own show. You know that as well.
I think you said something different, but anyway, we'll move on.
Okay, let's do NFL playoffs then, Chico Tannen.
Hey,
you don't have to worry about relationship. You did just fine with your two children that do well, graduating, and one going to get a scholarship in track and a nice home and family down the road. You worry about you.
Hey, I'm just telling you what I think he said.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Julie Buehler,
what's up?
Thank you for taking time out for us. Wild Card Weekend kicked off last night. I was a little surprised, and then I loved the effort of Carolina, and also want to take a pause because I know you travel across the country. Want to say from the heart, rest in peace, Stuart Scott, for all the things that he has brought to broadcasting, ESPN, and whatnot. That was a loss. That was a big loss. And, personally, I had things, but that's not something that I want to voice on the radio. But I certainly am sad for his family. It's way too soon for a guy. And I know Tar Heel Nation, where he went to school and where he grew up, surely is going to miss him. And so I wanted to certainly pay respects to a guy that, I did say booyah and cool as the other side of the pillow on ad nauseum to the point where, we certainly appreciated all the things that Stu did for sports fans and listeners alike. So just wanted to mention that as well as we got along in the show. But we want to talk about your thoughts with the NFL playoffs yesterday and, of course, today. Huge day for us here in the great state of Texas with Dallas playing in the afternoon.
Yeah, massive matchup for the Cowboys. And, yesterday, and before we get going on football, I can say that I met Stuart Scott when I was a wee broadcaster, just aspiring to maybe one day make it in the biz, and challenged him to a little contest and thought I was, pretty tough because I was challenging Stuart Scott to a race, and this was in New York. And, he was so kind to me and could see that I had a fire and a passion and really encouraged that fire and passion for broadcasting. And, a lot of people would kind of ignore this little blonde chick running around challenging them to a race, which I had no business even doing because he would have torched me. But he was encouraging, and may, rest in peace. It's heartbreaking that 49 years old.
Yes.
But yesterday, for the wild card, nothing surprised me. Not the Carolina Panthers defense, not their ability to run the football with Jonathan Stewart, and certainly not the Ravens beating the Steelers with Haloti Ngata and Chris Canty back and no Le'Veon Bell. The Steelers they entered a gunfight with a knife. And look, I'll tell you what, when the Ravens got into the playoffs, I thought to myself, oh boy, the rest of the AFC needs to take notice because this team is playing playoff football. And guys, when they won the Super Bowl in 2012, they ended that season 1-4 in their last 5 games. And then that's the team that torched Peyton Manning in Denver. That team went to New England and beat the Patriots. So if you're Denver and the Patriots still remaining, you're thinking to yourself, gosh, the Ravens have been there, done that. They're not going to necessarily concern themselves with having to go into Denver and New England once again and beat those teams once again to make it to Arizona where they'll get to hang out with us, boss.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I think that the Ravens are probably the most dangerous team in the playoffs, and I did pick the Patriots to win it all at the beginning of the year, but it didn't surprise me at all when they beat the Steelers for the first time in the postseason ever, and I think that's a pretty impressive statement as well. But, guys, can we just talk about the Arizona Cardinals and what they accomplished this season? Because I think Bruce Arians is a remarkable head coach, and to get to 11 wins, and then, almost they had a chance to win the West in the final week of the season. Didn't quite get that done, but just an amazing job by Todd Bowles, their defensive coordinator, and Bruce Arians, their head coach, keeping that team together, cohesive, and fighting hard until the end of until the end of their season. I thought that was really impressive. But yeah, the Panthers look good. Your boy Cam Newton, huh? He wasn't playing great, but their ability to run the football has to scare the likes of the Seattle Seahawks, because if you run the football against the Seahawks, you can beat them, and that's how every team that's gone into Seattle to take out the Seahawks has done it. Your Cowboys, the Cardinals the year before, that's the formula. Run the football down their throat, down in, down out, and you can get a win. And so the Panthers, it'll be interesting to see who they play next.
Well, Julie, and we're talking with Julie Buehler from Team 1010 out in Palm Springs, California, also of NFL Network, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts on their staff. I want to say this. I like Joe Flacco. I also like Joe Flacco. I got grief about him. Probably not as much grief as and you can't pick them all right. I'm a big Jay Cutler fan, but Joe Flacco is the guy that gets it done. And hadn't it been for a great play in the end zone by the Patriots, the Ravens would have gone to back-to-back Super Bowls. In fact, the pass was actually caught by Lee Evans and then knocked out of his hands. I'm a huge Flacco fan. Guy still drives his old school car, but that's not what you watch the Ravens for. You watch them for what they did, and I was very impressed with both. Not their defense, everybody knows about, and T. Suggs is doing a great job along with the rush that was just put on Roethlisberger, and he's a huge guy, and to bring somebody down like that is unbelievable. But Joe Flacco is unflappable, and that's kind of what I want to see today out of a guy like Tony Romo.
Yeah, well, Joe Flacco, the key to his postseason success, and by the way, he does have more postseason road victories than any other quarterback in the NFL since the merger. That's more than Tom Brady. That's more than Peyton Manning. That's more than Ben Roethlisberger. Flacco's gotten it done in the postseason and on the road, and that's something that's really noteworthy. But he doesn't throw interceptions, doesn't turn the ball over, and that's the key. If you're going to have a solid defense, if you're going to have a shot in the postseason, you've got to take care of the football. And that's what Ben Roethlisberger didn't do through 2 interceptions. And so that's going to be the key. And I think that as this game was approaching, the whole fact that Haloti Ngata missed the last 4 games of the season for performance-enhancing drugs and, took that suspension, I think it made him more hungry. I mean, that guy played yesterday. And let's not underestimate the power of having Nada back, not only for himself, but also for a guy like Suggs. How much easier is Suggs' job now that Nada is in the middle, plugging those holes and eating up those O-linemen, letting Suggs get at the quarterback. So I think that having Nada back and Chris Canty, an incredibly stable presence in the locker room, Canty is. I think, man, those guys coming back, that made a massive difference, and the Ravens are going to be interesting. And today, Foss, Cowboys and Lions, I can't wait for this matchup because I've been very, very critical of your boy Jason Garrett. Just his
you and the whole rest of the planet.
yeah.
My phone has got so many rude transmissions because text, emails, IMs. But yes, he's coming of age, and I certainly appreciate Mr. Jones allowing Jason to really put his footprint on this team.
Yes, but what the best thing he's done this year is run the football. Do you remember a couple of years ago when I was talking about Tony Romo throwing the ball 51 times and how that is irresponsible? And now
can I say something, Julie? When he was 18 and I was standing next to him in the huddle, I said, Jace, I'm from 5A football in Texas. Just turn around and hand the ball off. Quarterbacks love to throw the ball, though. So it took 30 years almost for him to realize that he had to succumb to what Judd Garrett, his younger brother, and I, as both as running backs, and Emmett knew. Just turn around and hand the ball off to really good running backs, and you'll be fine.
Right. Now it'll be interesting to see if he does that against the best run defense in the NFL. Do you going into this game, do they say, well, our strength is running the football, their strength is stopping the run, we're going to go head-to-head, strength to strength? Or do they think, well, let's try throwing the football because we know how weak the secondary is for the Lions, and get back into that mindset of putting the game on Tony Romo's shoulders? Here's my prediction. If Tony Romo throws the ball 30 times or more, Lions win. If DeMarco Murray runs the football 25 times or more, Cowboys get a big victory, and Dallas goes crazy. And by the way, let's not forget that Dallas knows, and everyone in Dallas knows, that the Seahawks are vulnerable in Seattle. And no one else in the NFL seems to think that. But I'm panting and hoping that there is a team with enough moxie to go up to Seattle and take out the Seahawks. Can your Cowboys please do that for me?
We can do that for you, one. Two, use the running back, and we said this as we were speaking with Drew Pearson, the original 88 on Between the Eights. Get the running backs into some of the passing game. It's almost like a run. When you get to the edges, get DeMarco, get Randall, get those guys on the edges, mismatches with some of the linebackers. Now, Levy's a pretty good linebacker from the middle, and he flows well. But as soon as he steps out of the middle, you hit Witten across the middle. You hit Gavin Escobar across the middle. You hit Beasley. Yep. And you start keeping them off balance. Then the run works a lot better off tackle, bringing that great offensive line, that young offensive line of the Cowboys, down on Nick Fairley if he plays, down on my alumni and Ndamukong Suh, and you put a whooping on him. You say, you're not going to step on us today, and if you do, it's going to get worse for you. Or as we say in the hood, worser.
Worser. It's going to get worser.
It's going to get worser for you. So we look forward to it as well. And so give us the second game today on the slate. What is your thoughts about that?
Colts and Bengals, and when A.J. Green was announced that he was out for this game, my reaction to that's good news. You want to know why? Because then Andy Dalton won't be pressured to throw the football. They're going to give it to Jeremy Hill, and this Colts run defense is not as good as it has been in years past. In fact, it's very vulnerable. And if Jeremy Hill, I'm going to say the same thing I said about the Cowboys. If Jeremy Hill gets the ball enough, the Bengals will win this football game. But if he doesn't, and if you put this game on Andy Dalton's shoulder, you're going to get a fourth straight year of missing, of a one-and-done performance by the Bengals. The fan base is going to be flying off the handle thinking that Andy Dalton is a jackass, and that's not the case. The fact of the matter is you've got to have a balanced attack, and if A.J. Green were in this game, I think there'd be a lot of pressure to give him the football, but since he's out, there won't be that pressure. And in the game against the Steelers with the NFC North on the line, you guys, I was watching that game so closely, and my jaw was on the ground because I recognized that the Bengals lost that game. Andy Dalton took a lot of heat for that, but two of the interceptions came off A.J. AJ Green's hands. He had a drop that he had no business dropping. A lot of people thought, well, maybe he must still be injured, and I think that was probably a lot of it. But him being out of this game is counterintuitive, but that's a good thing because it's going to make the game plan more run heavy, and that gives the Bengals a better chance at keeping Andrew Luck on the sidelines, first of all, and his back in his fourth quarter dramatics on the sidelines and helping him win the football game. Do I think that's going to happen? I'm not too confident in that. But when the team went into Lucas Oil Stadium, they lost 27-0 for the last time they were there in October. So I love this game, but I have a feeling the Colts are going to win it.
Okay, well, there's no problem.
Despite my hopes that the Bengals do it.
Okay.
I'd like to see the Bengals win a postseason game, guys. I really do.
And so with Jeff Blake, he struggled in trying to get to the playoffs as he became an All-Pro. He was the guy that was throwing the ball around and didn't have a lot of that running game, and he can tell you that that hurt him. Well, listen, yeah. Jules, certainly appreciate it. Thank you for the time today, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. And having a blast and, just doing what we do, enjoying football, the first female of football. Love to have her on the show when we can. And thanks and Happy New Year.
Can't wait. See you in Phoenix, Faust.
All right. Sounds great. We're going to take a sidebar, and we're going to come back with the AAU Focus on U Sports with our man across the table, Rod Chico Tanner, right here on Laying Down the Law.